The hour has arrived. I call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Mr. Johnson if he would give the invocation, please.
Father, we do thank you for allowing us to come in to handle our city business today. I give you honor and glory. Did not only actually give us wisdom and knowledge that we may make the right decisions to govern our peoples and to take the city on to victory. We actually unite us in all that we do, that we may stand and be together, God. Now, I ask you to bless this nation, our soldiers on the battlefield, our state, those that sick and bereaved. We ask these in your name. Amen.
Amen. Let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of our nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I ask for the approval of the agenda, the item one, I don't know what all of you out there have it or not, the item one was the rural water representative. He's been here and he had to leave and didn't have all of his marbles quite in order that I wanted to have for us. But I'd like to substitute in the place of that our fuel system at the airport, airport fuel system. Are there any other corrections or additions I would like to make to the agenda?
I'd like to add 1A, please, on the policy versus outside employment.
What now?
On the policy versus outside employment, I'd like to make a 1A.
Okay. 1A is
And each of y'all should have a copy of that policy.
policy
Personnel policy,
of outside.
employment.
Yeah, okay.
John, what's that look like, please?
It's right here. Has a Jim clip on it. You see a
Yeah.
copy of the policy.
Got use of city vehicle on top, but that's not.
Oh, I got it.
4-7.
Okay, all right, I've had a suggestion or a recommendation of substituting airport fuel system as one, and then a 1A is policy of outside employment, Mr. Bloodworth has requested. Are there any other additions, corrections, or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, I entertain a motion that we approve the agenda.
Make a motion.
Mr. Griffin has made the motion that we approve the agenda as we've designated it. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Ramey has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is set. Okay. The change that I just made about the airport fuel system, both Cody and I got a call from our fuel representative again today, and he has presented this to me and asked me to present it to the city attorney. I think he's talked to you too, hadn't he?
He sent an email to Bernice and copied me with it.
Yeah, okay. What he is saying is that he's actually modifying our agreement. The initial agreement was that the company, the fuel company, our fuel supplier out at the airport, was going to pay half of the $15,000 for the new credit card device. It cost $15,000, and that the city was going to pay the other half, $7,500. But instead of requiring that we lump it up as we buy and purchase it, they were going to pay for the whole thing and then charge us so much per gallon until that, so that we could pay it on installment plan, so to speak. But he's told me that that's not in the agreement anymore. They're going to supply it, put it out there. But the contract is for how many thousand gallons of fuel?
275, 5 years.
275,000 gallons of fuel. It's a 5-year contract. Or 275,000. I guess if we don't buy 275,000, it's got to go longer. So whichever, yeah. Now, and now we're open for discussion on this thing, y'all. He's pleading with me that I say, look, our attorney and he convinced me that if we get into a situation where we feel like you're gouging us on price and whatnot, we want to tell you to bye-bye and we'll deal with somebody else. And he assured me that it didn't work that way for some reason, I don't know. But at any rate, here we are. He's pleading with me to present it back to you and the attorney to look at it. And, what is your feelings? What do you want to do?
Let me say this, when I gave the letter, I don't know if it got to the whole council, it was just you, when I looked at it, he did change the thing where there was a dispute, it would be in Jeff Davis County rather than Miami. But he would not come back. I had a problem. The way I read the contract is for 5 years, we purchased 275,000 gallons. If we don't, it's renewed. I don't have a problem with that. But they've got a way they can get out just by giving us notice. We don't have any way to get out at all. And you remember, I sent a proposal to him saying, we want a provision, if we check with comparable airports, and we're not being treated similar, except for the fact of consideration of 15,000 they've given us, then we need to have a way out.
They're gonna start gouging us on fuel
He
prices?
would not agree to that.
Well, I don't
He
think
went
that-
back and said, well, he said that, this is already met with existing termination clause 16C of section 2. Well, it's not. That section allows them to get out, does not let us to get out. And that's my only concern. I mean, that's up to y'all. But we're locked in for 5 years, and they can charge us whatever they want to. Now, that's bad business for them to do that, but it's good business.
Well, I
too. We
mentioned
can't
that,
get
I
out.
mentioned that to Cody, and Cody, what did you tell me relative to us with our contract we've had with Phillips now for a while?
The original fuel contract, it was for a 2-year period, and then they went from month to month, and that's what we're in now. And we just give them a 30-day notice if we ever want to get out of the original fuel contract. But on this contract here, the way that the city attorney's explaining it is that there's really no way out. And I know you put in there pretty much the same thing if we had a contract on something else, as far as going to say if we wanted out, we'd pay the remainder of what we owed.
Yeah.
Which that would be, I don't see why they wouldn't go for that either. But at the same time, on this 275,000 gallons, I think I've done the numbers, they've done their numbers, and that's how they come up with this 275,000 gallons for 5 years. That's exactly, the last 5 years we've been on, it was like 276,000 gallons. So that's how they've come up with the amount of gallons. But at the same time, I'm kind of confused at what y'all, I'm not so sure if they're actually going to try to up the price on us per gallon. I think it's just whenever we pay for it, or whatever we buy the gas for, that's what we buy it for. It's not going to be marked up any.
Yeah, that's not my issue. My issue is they can charge anything they want to, cost of the market, which is fine, but it doesn't say the cost of market. They can charge whatever they want to.
Right.
And we done been bit one time with the garbage contract. You know, if you get in there and you can't get out, and they just raise whatever they want to do, and we can't get out. Of course, with the garbage contract, we can get out after a certain period of time. But that's my concern is that,
Well, I appreciate that, and I agree
Right.
with you.
Yeah.
and as I suggested to them, I said, look, let's put a clause in there that we give 90 days notice, and then you can back figure, because they figured $275,000 that they've recouped $15,000, which I understand that.
Right.
I put in there and say, okay, if we get out, if we decide to get out because we feel like we're not being treated fair, and we hadn't done 275,000 gallons, then let's figure out what we owe you back for the $15,000 up front. And that's fair to them. They
I
don't
think so
lose
too.
anything.
Because if we get into a contract, one time, Cody, I asked you, where's our fuel coming from? Now, did you tell me Savannah?
Yes.
Coming from Savannah?
Yes, sir.
How many aviation fuel suppliers are in Savannah?
As far as that one, that's a Phillips rack at the port over there. It's a Phillips 66.
And we've been with them a long time,
We've been with them since 2011.
about 9 years. Have you ever checked to see if you could buy fuel cheaper somewhere else and check?
I actually called around a couple weeks ago, and they won't talk to you because we're not in a contract with them.
Council, I'll tell you, I've asked the attorney to look into this thing and check it out, and he's done it.
I'll add this. The only way that you can do and say that if we can call around and get prices is to go unbranded and we'd be an independent supplier. And then all responsibilities would then be on the city. City would have to have their own insurance on everything out there. And I do not believe the city wants to get into that boat.
Well, this agent has called me and asked me, and I told him what it should have been on the work session, and it's my fault it wasn't, but I checked, it wasn't here. I said, but I can bring it up before the council tonight, and they'll hash it out, and we'll get their recommendation, and we'll go from there. So, gentlemen, I'm putting it on your back. What do you want to do?
My recommendation is to make sure that we get ourselves covered as a city, get that clause in there for us. Tell them that we understand that they're covering themselves, but we got to have something that's going to cover the city too.
All right, then another thing I want to mention to you too. We're talking about, here again, we've extended ourselves and buying new buildings and doing a lot of projects around here. And we've committed our airport slosh. Of course, in that taxiway that's out there, we've signed a contract for our portion of it that we're getting $500,000 worth of splosh money, airport splosh, over the next 5 or 6 years. But now we've spent and committed $300,000. Now over the 5 6 year period, we've got an extra $200,000, but we don't have it now. We've got to, this next year and the next 3 years, we've got to pay that $300,000 that we owe for that nice airport we got out there. We'll have $200,000 back then. But here's the thing I'm saying: or we want to work and dabble with this thing for $15,000, or we want to figure out a way to. Right now, the system's working good right at the time.
Right now,
But
we got roughly, they're saying a year. Is the biggest thing is in a year's time, this machine that's out there now will no longer be supported as far as parts or anything. Right now, if something was wrong with that machine now, I could call them and ask them what to do, and they would help me. That's fixing to go away too in a year. So that's the biggest thing, because it can be quite a headache if something goes wrong with that credit card machine.
See, every bit of fuel that goes out of that our facility out there is processed through that credit card machine, and so we don't have to worry about the credit cards approved when they come there and they don't get the fuel. So it's a good system that we want to try to rake, scrape, and I don't want to put the false in you. I do want to put false in your head that you think of different things. That we want to figure out a way to buy our own system and put it in there. I think we need to have a fuel system involved, the supplier involved in it anyway. So again,
I think you need to have the supplier because of legality. But I would caution us, to me, I didn't know about that until I sit down tonight. With the world so volatile that it is now, and getting the gas and all, you don't never know what is going to happen. And I done voted several times to put this city into long-term contracts like that. And everybody seemed to get money out of it but the city in a long term. So think about it before we get in. Y'all know more about this kind of stuff than I do. But 5 years versus $15,000, and to get somebody to protect us. I just hate to see us tied down when we might be in some catastrophe overseas, or better yet, down south in Venezuela, and it bothers us. So I may be looking at it different than everybody else, but this 15 years with that TV thing is what them pop me. I don't want to tie the citizens down, and we come up here with a bunch of money that we got to pay out y'all at the end.
I definitely agree with that.
We're on a month-to-month now, is what we're on now.
Right.
With the same company.
That's correct.
and have been for 9 years.
Do what now?
Can we,
Or have been for 9 years.
can we feasibly, and I'm just asking, I mean, and it's $15,000, and yeah, that's a chunk. Could we physically take, or do we physically take and have half of it and borrow half and pay it in a year? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Pay for the system and still continue with the fuel supplier and then put the thing in for that price? Would they still do that? That's what I want to know there. I mean, I don't know that. That's what I'm asking.
Cody seems to think what he's told us now, and you help me, Cody, if I get it wrong, to have the fuel company involved in it with the servicing they're doing now, even with this system, he thinks it's a better deal maybe to keep them involved.
But that's what I'm saying, but if we took in, say we came up with $7,500 and had to borrow $7,500 to pay in a year, could we do something like that and they still be involved in installation and we still have the, that's what I want to know. I mean,
I'm sure that'd be fine, but the whole thing is the installer is actually out of lines.
right?
They're gonna be out of lines, L&T. And they're kind of like a subcontractor to this, the QT.
If we're purchasing their POS, wouldn't they still have an installer can put it in for that price and everything else?
That's
I mean,
who it is, that's who their installer is,
Right,
in
that's
this
what I'm
area,
saying.
right.
That's what I'm saying. If we purchased the POS that we're looking for, and we came up with we came up with $15,000, we had $7,500, we could borrow $7,500 till next year to put it back from Splots if we could, then would the company would still be involved and they would still be willing to sell it for $15,000 and have it installed? Would they still do that? I mean, I'm asking the council here for some help. I'm just putting this out here so we can, if we don't have to get into a long-term contract, then we're just in a fuel, where we buy fuel from them.
Right.
And we're still partners with them.
The 15,000 turnkey, that's installed and everything.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So if that's installed and everything, as long as they got their money, if we didn't have a contract, we wouldn't have to worry about them jacking fuel prices or anything else at that point. I mean, is that something y'all think would be feasible?
Doesn't it give them the right to be able to raise the price?
Yeah, but we're not the month, we'd go to somebody else.
Yeah, they have the right to raise the prices regardless. It doesn't matter who they are.
Any company's gonna have that.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
the
but
thing
then-
is, we're in for 5 years.
That's 5 years and we have no way out.
Right.
right, that's what I'm saying.
But we're month to month right now. If we put in the system ourselves, we stay month to month.
That's
Well, if we
correct.
purchase it and have it turnkey put in, we purchased it, we don't owe $15,000, we're not in a contract with them. At that point, we're still on a month to month and we still have a business relationship.
That's correct. But at the same time, we're in a month-to-month fuel contract, but this is a whole nother contract. So if we say we don't want you as a fuel provider, what are they gonna do about that?
Well, that too, I mean, but if we pay for the piece up front and we use them as a pro fuel
That's
provider,
correct.
they continue to take and give us good service, we continue to use them. And if they decide that they're gonna be somewhere out in left field and raise prices, then we're not bound by a contract. We just paid for a product, they put it in for us, we have the system we need. They support us, the system will be supported by whoever, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
because it works, not just for them, you know what I'm saying?
That's correct.
But I mean, we wouldn't be in a binding contract because we're month to month, and like I said, if the fuel prices got outlandish, then we can go out for bid for fuel for another one, we're not in a contract.
If we do what he's saying, Cody, and purchase the system ourselves and put it in, with your experience in calling these people, will they service it for us just as well as they would Phillips and?
Yeah, the actual credit card machines is actually not through Phillips
No.
now.
I know that, but,
Yeah, I mean,
but Phillips has also helped us in servicing it though.
not really.
Not really?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's just,
We got a totally different contract with this QT
And
pod.
so- Okay, so this pod that you're getting, those people will be the service agents.
That's correct.
Then there's no, you're right then.
They're just enticing us for a 5-year contract.
Right, that's exactly right.
That's all they're doing there, because see, we don't,
You can't be bought that cheap.
you know, I mean, but I'm just thinking, you know, we might be better served to take and pull $7,500 and borrow $75, pay it back next year from Splots, and then we've got a machine, it's turnkey in there, we can still use Phillips as long as they're when
But
themselves
they
fuel.
handle themselves.
Exactly. But if they decide that their if we decide their fuel prices are
All right.
outlandish or whatever else, we have an option then, we're not in a contract.
All right, let's move on then. All right, let's, if y'all approve or disapprove this, let's just stay as we are on a month-by-month basis. The machine is working good right now. We know we've got to do something, and let's meanwhile get us a plan B of what we are going to do, and stay out of this contract.
I think that would be the best thing,
All right.
to stay at it.
All right,
I mean, it's a good deal, don't get me wrong, but if they decide they want to jack the prices.
It ain't a good deal.
It ain't a good deal.
that's right. All right, okay, let's move on. We know what we're gonna do. Cody, if it tears up, get those folks over there and get you a gym clip and fix it.
We'll get it fixed right now.
Alright. Okay, everybody satisfied with that now, that we're gonna leave the contract alone, stay on a month-by-month basis? And somehow or another, we'll get the thing, within the year, we'll find some means, hook or crook, to get that handled. Okay.
Hey, hold up, let me add to that.
Pardon?
Right now, this 15,000 probably only gonna be good through like June, because there's a rebate on the old machines now. So after either June or July, that is, you can add 1,000 or so, $1,000, $1,500 to that price. So,
Alright, alright,
that's just information there.
we need, we'll go to work on this, y'all, we'll work on it. Alright, let's move on. Okay, Mr. Bloodworth, you're 1A. Go
Yes,
ahead with your-
Chief Williams contacted me today about an officer wanting to work outside employment, and it's a personnel issue, or that they need to have requests from the council. And I told him to let me just present this to the council. I mean, for any city employee, I think that's too restrictive to tell people what they can do on their off time. And I think that needs to be up to the director or, the department head as to if somebody can work outside employment. Because a lot of these police officers, they have to moonlight to survive. So it's just that last sentence, if we can just scratch that last sentence and let it be up to the department head to decide if they want to allow someone to,
You're talking about section 4.7.
4.7, yes.
4.7.
Yeah.
very last sentence, just scratch that last sentence.
Well, I mean, they at least need to be taking the department head and, my opinion, and the council member over and need to be privy of it and everything, because, and they need to know what kind of job they're getting into. Because like I said, all outside requests and whatever else, that is kind of vague, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, at least the department head and everything else, so he can make an informed decision as to what they're getting into, so it does not interfere with their job.
Sure.
They have to understand, make the employee or team member, whatever you want to call them, make them understand, hey, look, this is your primary job, and if we need you, this is where you work. So
Right.
you can't make these commitments and everything else. So,
I agree with that.
like I said, all requests to the council, I could go as far as taking the same department heads and the council member over the department. I would be happy with that. Now, is this also is this in the charter or the handbook? The handbook, and we'd have to take, just do a resolution to take and adopt that, or to amend that, or what?
You have to amend it.
So to do that, we just have to have the resolution to amend it as such, and what, 2 readings on it and be done with it? I'm in favor of that. I mean, if you
Okay, why don't you make a motion that we should all requests for outside employment must be approved by the department head and the assigned council representative.
go ahead.
Go ahead, make the motion.
I'll make a motion, section 4.7, concerning outside employment in the handbook. The last sentence in there, all requests for outside employment must be approved by the city council, be changed to all requests for outside employment must be approved by department head and presiding council member over the department. And I'd like to make that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second to the man's motion?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bloodworth. Any further discussion about it? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried. Would you get that corrected for us, Mr. Attorney? All right, let's move on. Mr. Attorney, while We're looking at you and you're doing so good. Tell us about the Ryland contract.
Well, it's a contract. It's a contract. So, that's all I can tell you, it's a binding contract.
Okay, counsel, the attorney is playing attorney and doing a good job of it. Let's, counsel, we can't keep sitting on this thing now. We've got to make a decision
I
and
think we need out of this mess myself.
we
Bad
need,
on the city.
I'm sitting here listening to y'all now. What are we gonna do with this situation? The attorney needs instruction.
What is our attorney's suggestions
Well,
to?
we had talked about entering discussion with the county and see what their position was regarding whether or not this contract with Republic, the way it's written, is for the mutual benefit of the citizens involved. Unlike the Ryland contract, which is a different type of contract for the services you contract for, the Republic contract has that provision that if at any point the city and county together decide that it is not in the best interest of the citizens to continue with that contract, and they've got a escape clause, I think it's 90 days or something like that, to get out of it, because that requires us to make a determination and the county to make a determination, which will require court discussions. Regarding that, is the county's what our feelings are about it, while we feel it's not in the city's best interest to continue with it. So,
If we take and, either, if we decided to take and get out of the contract with Ryland, it's gonna cost us money. If we
Right.
decide to get out of the contract with,
How do you know?
well, I reckon the attorney's read the contract.
they advanced X number of dollars at the beginning, and if
No,
we
they
get out
haven't advanced anything yet.
I thought they sent an invoice.
they had several $100,000, I think.
Well, where in the heck is it? I don't know nothing about it.
I'm
Carl, there's no money been advanced by them yet, except an investment in all those trash cans.
And they bought that truck
No, it's
on
back.
the,
It's
my,
back.
on,
Who we talking about now? Hold on.
Ryland.
No, I'm talking about Republic.
Oh, no,
Republic.
Oh, no, huh?
The contract what you're talking
Oh,
about.
the public has, oh, yes, they've invested a lot of money.
Yeah,
I thought
we
you-
have to prorate that, pay back.
Oh, yeah, but apparently, we certainly can't afford to do that. You're talking about close to $200,000.
Because it'd be, I think we figured $80-something thousand each for the city and county.
But at any rate, to terminate that contract now, but now let's get to Ryland. Ryland hasn't invested us any money.
no, not us any money, but they bought that truck on the tip station that
They were
The
going to,
contract,
they were
right.
going to buy the truck. The truck has
And
not been bought.
it has been bought.
Well,
It's sitting over there on our yard. It ain't been brought over here because we have it on
I
hold
thought it
to
come
see
back
what this
with
is.
We've been using the truck.
No, we've been using our trucks. They haven't bought our trucks. They bought a new truck for this area.
Oh, okay, that's a different problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were going to buy our
And then we
truck.
got about 300-400 of their trash cans out to customers right now. That if y'all get out this contract, we gotta pick all them trash cans up and buy a trash can.
Those trash cans either. I'm just saying, man, we gotta worry about the people, what they want. I do.
It's a trash can.
I don't care.
No trash.
I care about what those people care about. And a lot of my folks don't like it, and if they don't like it, I'm against it. I don't like how we got into this contract, and I don't think it's in the best interest of the city to be in it.
Okay, gentlemen, they more than, then there's two down here talking little, there's two more on this end.
Well,
We need out of it.
well, gentlemen, y'all know, and Mr. Ryland know my feelings from the beginning, that I've been here before with the trash, and honestly, you might have, could have got in a, agreement with him, but we did it too fast. We went in without thinking, and maybe some people were, but it takes a little bit more because more is involved in it. I think that somebody needs to sit down with Rollins and say, listen, And it might be where you can do something when you start out slow and work with it. But at this point, the longer it goes, the worse it's gonna get. So,
That's true.
I don't know if I'm doing you any good because I voted against it twice from the beginning. Because I felt like I knew what was gonna happen. So, in all good faith, I think that if these are businessmen and they want to do business with us, they might sit down and work with us if you sit down and talk to them. That we just got to start this thing over. If that's what you want them to do.
Republic has convinced me, and I think you folks too, that they're not gonna play ball with Raleigh.
I've seen that, those two companies don't get along, at all, but we definitely as a city, need to get out of this. I'm in terms that I would like to see our attorney mediate, the situation and see if we can't come to some type of agreement with all three parties sitting there together and, get the heck out of that thing.
You're talking about with the Republic or Raleigh?
Both of them.
They're holding a chip.
Yeah.
To the extent, again, the only leverage of the Republic is if the city and the county say it's no longer in our interest to have this contract with you. That's some leverage you have with the Republic to negotiate, but so far they haven't expressed any interest in that.
And let me say this,
Well,
Randy?
we're speaking of, talking about the county, when we haven't made any agreements with the county
I
either,
agree.
so we're talking about a lot of unknowns.
Republic is absolutely the strongest entity in the garbage and landfill business, I think, in the United States. They, except for the Telfair landfill, they have got this system tied up for years to come. And the new manager at Vidalia has been over here, they're repainting, redoing that transfer station. It's so important to us. When that thing was on fire, we had to drive these old trucks back and forth to empty them in Vidalia, that landfill. It was a mess. Gentlemen, I think with our circumstances now, of course, you're all you know how we vote around here. With our circumstances now, I think the only sensible thing for us to do is to instruct our attorney to help us get out of this contract, and let's just try to sit cool until we can get the long-range stuff with whoever, sort of like what Wayne said. We're gonna have to sit down and go walk slow to get this thing worked out. And right now, we don't need to be sitting here keeping, Carl's in a mess. If somebody wants a new trash can, there's another red trash can going out. Riley's in a mess, they don't know what the heck to do. And I think right now that, since this contract that we've entered into does not coincide with the contract we were already in, the county and the city, I think the best thing to do is get the hell out.
It's a mess from the get-go.
Can we instruct our attorney to find out what kind of penalty we may be subject to with Ryland? We've approached the thing with Republic, we're not done any good. How about approaching Ryland and see what you think, what they thinking might be any obligation we've got to, for getting out of this contract?
I'll do whatever y'all tell me to do. In Republic, we didn't do any good to one extent. You saw the letter the attorney wrote, but they know we can get out of that contract if the county agrees to too. So that's what I'm saying. They know they don't have us a stranglehold on it.
Oh, no.
Because that's in the last paragraph of the letter.
And with 2025, aren't we through with it anyway? It's
Somewhere about.
2025, the contract's over.
In Ryland, I mean, I'm be glad to talk about it. Whatever y'all tell me to do, I'll do.
Again, I mean,
That's legal. That's the law.
What's that?
That's me.
I like the first part better.
Well, you're telling me that, Republic is not gonna, sit down at all. If you ain't got all three parties, you're never gonna get to a final
We'll
solution.
get all three of them sitting down and do it.
That's the reason I recommended that we ask him to see if he can get us out of this thing.
I would have to turn it over to the power of the attorney to be able to take care of it, because it's a big headache, and we'll hand that headache to him.
Well, this time I'm gonna be on the attorney's side again. I don't think we ought to shift the buck to you just yet. I think these contracts have to be with the elected people. And I think that one or two of you who can sit down in good faith, talk to Mr. Ryan, bring him in, and I'm talking about his business now, and explain to him what's what. We know that he's a businessman, and that eventually we may want to do it, and talk with him. He might be more receptive than we're thinking. But I think it ought to be from the council first before we go to shifting the burden. The burden should have been with the council to do this contract from the beginning. So I don't think that he should have to deal with it unless we can come to an agreement with this man. Excuse me for saying it like that. I'm trying to be professional of him. I think that the elected officials need to sit down in a business mind and talk with Mr. Rollins. That's what we should do. We shouldn't be shifting the buck anymore. Come to the council and get it done with. Then we go to the big gun.
And the thing about it is, I mean, that's a very good idea too. But the other edge of that sword and everything is too, is it is a contract. And it's a signed contract. That's why.
Well, I understand that it's a contract. That's why you want your attorney. Now, I was taught that the attorney backs you up with the contract. If it don't work out the way when whoever we send to mediate it and they bring it back to us, if it don't work, then we ask our attorney to start dealing with him. But I think that we shouldn't shift the buck. It should be with him.
Let me say this, again, I don't want to do what we do, but in one sense, he's right, because when you start lawyering up, you know what happens.
Yes, sir.
Everybody starts, everybody's gonna get sued. There's no use to do that until y'all have a meeting with them and see what they ask you to deal with. If I go to them, they immediately, I'm not gonna hear from Mr. Ryland, whoever it is, I'm gonna hear from his attorney.
Well, let the mayor send them a letter to ask them to come before the council, let's talk.
I don't think that's one or two of you. I don't think you need to be to the council. Let's get Percival, sit down in good faith and sit down. You know how y'all like to do those senators and representatives in Atlanta? Feed him something and talk to him.
The mayor and his designee.
Well, I mean, seriously, let's just be upfront. Let's don't shift no buck. Let's be men. But when it comes to contracts, now I'm dumb. But when it comes to this, I was always taught you have to do something first, gentlemen. And when you don't, then you go get this man that went to school for. But it starts with us.
Well, I was referring in terms of a mediator instead of the legality of the lawyer, too. And a mediator is a little bit different, a lighter weight than it is that of the legal and going into the courtroom.
Yeah, but mediator, you gotta have a neutral, and I'm not neutral. I am a certified mediator, but I represent the city.
I realize that to be true.
And that could be the next step before litigation, of course. You know, I mean.
All right,
I'm not
we
saying
can
litigation,
consider
but you
him
got-
dilly-dallying this all night long. Mr. Bloodworth is recommending, of course, if y'all don't like that, you recommend too. He's recommended that I get one of y'all and find the 2 or 3 people. I think it's best not to just deal with one person with Ryland, but get some of the many of their officers we can together and talk about what we can do with this. Y'all want to make that in form of a motion?
I'll make that in the form of a motion that the mayor and his designee get with Ryland and their representatives and discuss a way out of this contract.
Is there a second?
We cannot remember or forget that we're not just dealing with Ryland, we're dealing with Republic also.
We're not dealing with the public at all.
That's the conflict in the situation.
Yeah, I know, but we're not dealing with the public at all now. Not at all. Y'all heard, is there a second to the man's motion?
I second.
Mr. Johnson seconded, Mr. Bloodworth's motion. Now further discussion. Randy, we've got, I think till 2025, tied up with the county, one of the commissioners sent you a list of all this, and he can go back and talk to his people about it. But, there's no point involved in right now. Now, later, there's a clause that the attorney has mentioned, and if we can go with the county commissioners in 3 months or 6 months or 30 days or whatever, and get with the county and mutually come up with this thing. But right now, we leave Republic out of the thing. We go see what we've got involved with Ryland, is what I think I need to
The
do.
only thing we're looking at now is just getting rid of Rowell.
Well, we've got a motion made. Any further discussion? Are y'all ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I will meet with them and I'll come back and report back to you. I don't know when, but it'll be pretty soon, but we need to do something with this. Okay, let's move on. I'm sorry it took so long for this. You've got this little sheet here, 219 Lamig project. Everybody get this, it's got a red and black writing on it. This, Carl and I have worked on this thing for some time. We got 124,000 or approximately, Bernice, you can correct me, it's approximately 124,000 in big money sitting in the bank to pave these streets with. That's about right, isn't it?
Yes, sir. That's
Also, Carl and I checked, we've got enough splosh money, street splosh, to do our portion, which is about $25,000. And so we can add, Carl, and you help me if I get wrong now, you help me here, we worked on it. We've taken and got down to the bare bones of the 125, but we've got to come up, in order to spend our 124,000 that they sent us, we've got to match it with about 24,000. So to speak, we've got the money, or the situation is such that we need to spend $150,000 on streets. Carl and I will pick up, Carl, if you look to see which one would come best to add back to this to come up with that amount.
I hadn't looked at it since me and you looked at it today, Mayor.
Here's the thing I think you need to do. Carl and I were looking at it, and y'all know the streets, and these right here are the very worst. I'd like for y'all to, so that we can begin to get this thing going. We've got the big money, we need to do it. I'd like for y'all to even do this as, it could wait till Thursday, but I think it would help me and Carl to get maybe this thing moving faster if y'all offer us to proceed with this list and about 24,000 more plus this, and start spilling asphalt around here.
You want a motion?
I would like one.
I'll make a motion that, we approve the, 124,000 plus an additional 24,000 in this list to be paid.
All right, is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any further discussion? What
Yes,
Mrs.
I've got, are there any other, I'm looking at the list, and it seems shorter than the initial list that I'd seen before. Carl, are there any
We took,
particulars?
yeah, we took off Gill Street, the one you talked about, because
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
one.
way too much money to do it from 341
341
all
to
the
the
way to
city
city limits.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, that might be one we add back, but it won't be the whole distance of the road, but we just ain't got the money to do the
Well,
whole
also,
distance.
we took Burkett's Ferry off
We
to
took
that.
Buck- That's
And
right.
there's a segment of that, so what it amounts to is we've got to, and what we've done here, we haven't eliminated anything that's worse than this. This is the worst. Now, we've got to add 24,000 back.
You said you took Burkett's Ferry
It's
off?
on
Yes, that section, yeah.
It's on there.
No, the Burke Ferry had several different
Yeah,
ones.
there's different sections.
Yeah, we had different sections on Burke Ferry.
Huh?
I said I can't vote for that.
Okay, what do you want to do?
Gill Street part of it needs to be on there, it's in bad shape.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we're gonna go back, that's the one we're gonna add, it was like $47,000 to do it all from.
Okay,
Yeah.
We
We
can
do
put that
half
on
of
there,
it.
then I can vote for it,
Okay.
but without it, I can't.
you offer amendment, sir. You know how to do this. You're the parliamentarian.
Okay, I move to amend to add, Gill Street as section 2.
Mr. Ramey has an amendment to the motion to include Gill Street on this list. Is there a second to his motion?
That's second.
Mr. Johnson is seconded. Any further discussion about the gentleman's
How much
amendment?
did you say it would do to do all of Gill Street?
40-something thousand.
And we got 24,000.
About
Right.
24 more.
Yeah, we can do half of Gill Street.
We can
The
do
worst part
we can
of
do
it.
the worst part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for an amendment. Is there any further discussion on Mr. Ramey's amendment? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, now we're ready for the motion as amended. Gentlemen, we've got the list plus that part of 24,000 on Gill Street. Any further discussion about that now? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Man, I tell you what, y'all are business folks. Carl, we know what we gotta do. All right, let's move on. Sidewalk project. Have any of y'all been by and looked at our sidewalk project over on Collins?
Looking good. Looking good.
I hope you have. It's in the works, and those folks are really moving. They're going down Collins. They'll be turning the curve and going down Burkett's Ferry to the school. That's two legs, Collins and Burkett's Ferry. That gets this school there on Burkett's Ferry tied to the apartments, all by the high school and down to the middle school. And that a great sidewalk project for students and all walking back and forth. The third leg of this project is from the hospital to the projects out here on the Douglas Highway. There was an error made in the design there. They designed that as a street project instead of a state highway, US Highway 221. The design was made to put it the little 2 feet, just like you see Collins going on, and it won't work that way. And it was to be, it's just complicated, it was to be an $8,000 project to get that segment from out there at the hospital to the apartments out there. If it were done that way, it's not. It's a $40,000 project. So we've got $8,000 worth of money, but we've got $40,000 worth of work that needs to be done to get that sidewalk to the apartments out there. Gentlemen, I don't know how we're gonna do it, but somehow we need to complete this. This has been in the works for a long, long time. And that project,
Give it to us.
that project needs to be done. And
I think you said that you
hey, I'll tell you what the deal is. I'm asking y'all to figure out a way to finish this project.
Well, I guess I'll fix it next week.
I'm asking y'all to figure out a way for us to finish this project.
So we need $32,000 to just even finish it, period.
Now, Carl, tell them what you was thinking, you and I were talking about on do you just tell them what you said?
On what's that now?
I'm taking the, Public Works.
Oh, we can do some in-kind service on that and haul the dirt out there for them from the airport. And that'd cut down on some of the costs. That'd save us some money. Is there, after we get through with this LeMig project, is there any money left in the LeMig account?
You're not touching $150,000.
No, that's what I ain't what I'm asking. I ain't what I'm asking.
No, there will not be.
I don't think.
I gotta call in, the mayor, he asked them up in Atlanta for enough money. I gotta call into the Jessup office. If there's some money left in the 2019 LeMig,
In their funds.
in their funds, they
If
will
we-
help us with the sidewalk, but
If-
he won't know for another month or two.
Well, I won't, while they're here, we need to get this done, see
Yeah.
while we've got folks on the job. All right, let me tell you what we could do. I've told somebody earlier today, we have extended ourselves a good bit in buying these buildings and putting in that tax well at airport. And in doing so, we've replenished our reserves pretty much. And we've got to build them back up. We do have 2 notes that we've been carrying for a number of years that amount to about $200,000, a little less, but almost $200,000 a year that we've been paying for a number of years. Those notes will be paid for right away. With that, we want to take that, where we've been paying this money, and take that approximately 200,000 and begin to replenish our reserves. Since we're not, the county wouldn't play ball with us on putting in the new well and tank, we needed, this thing would cost for $300 something. We could have taken that 200 that we've been paying and just keep paying it on this, and if the county put the 100, we could put in that new well and tank, but they didn't play ball with us. So what I'm suggesting is that we're going to get a relief of $200,000 if we can begin putting our reserves back, and I think that's what we ought to do. But the reason I tell you that is because we've also, the limit on our line of credit. Our checking account, and Ms. Tammy has written me several little friendly notes saying, bragging on us that our balance, our financial checking account balance is growing, and we're doing pretty good. So she's right pleased with what's happening. We could pay out of the general fund on our line of credit a payment that would open up the line of credit, or we could use that money, but the best thing, it would help us to pay it on the line of credit and then go to the line of credit a little bit later when this project comes up, 30 to 60 days, and get the money to get this done if y'all want to. That's sort of, y'all chew it up now. I've handed it to you. Y'all chew it up, tell me what to do. But we could finagle and rather than that, just take it out of the general fund. I think we'd be wise to pay on the line of credit and then get it back out maybe in 30, 60 days, something like that. But whatever y'all want to do, I'm gonna leave it with y'all. I do want this project done if possible. I'm gonna plead with you. Let's figure it out. If you don't like this way, figure out a way to do it.
But since this is a workshop, can we actually bring this back in on Thursday?
That's what we need to do.
Bring this back
That's
in
exactly what we need to do.
And by then, maybe kind of ponder over it a little bit.
We ain't got to make a decision tonight.
Absolutely not. In fact, I would prefer we not on this purchase. But we gotta figure out what we are gonna do. The man in next, let's see, Tuesday and Wednesday, he'll be, of course, he's got a lot of other work. With this week and next week, that man's gonna be ready to do the job over here, or go take his equipment, move to his next job. So we don't have long.
You gonna find out if we do the in-kind, how much they're gonna cut off. Can we find that out?
Yeah, I can have that for you for Thursday, yes.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I'll call Atlanta too. I'll make a call and make a plea and see if someone would commit. The governor's got an emergency fund, and we'll see if we can maybe get some money out of the governor's emergency fund. Yeah, we'll try. I got a buddy that knows how to get. We'll see if we can't find a little money. I want that project finished. It's good for all of us, our community. So let's figure out a way to get it done some way. All right, let's move on. Mary, why don't you bring us up to date on the wastewater treatment plant repairs?
Well, from last time I was out there and everything, which was last Friday or whatever, they moving along good, everything's cleaned up, whatever, and washed down, and has Ray started painting yet?
No, sir, we're just getting the water pumped out from the rain over the weekend, so.
Okay. So that's where we're at as far as getting the inside of it painted, and that should take him about, 10 days to get it painted. Once we get to a point where we can get in there and start painting with the rain, and we knew this was gonna happen, but it's here, and the rain's here, so we just have to work with it the best we can. They put another grate in out there at the influent where it comes in. We're gonna put our other machines, so also the aerators, they're all ordered. They should be in about the same time. You said into June, 1st of July, same time?
Second week of July.
So we'll have all of that ready to go back in, and the new bar screen, or what they call it,
Bar screen.
Bar screen. We'll have that, they'll all come in at at the same time. So when we put it in, we put the new aerators in and button it up and everything, we'll have 2 of them running at the same time, getting more of the trash out and everything. And it didn't cost us nowhere near the money that we thought it was gonna cost us to start off with and everything, including the bar screen, the whole 9 yards. I think we were up to start off with around $169,000, wasn't it? And we're probably gonna have around, what, 30,
About 137.
37 is what I think it is. So we've knocked a chunk out of that with some stuff that could be done and whatever else. But it's moving along, it's looking good, and they've done a good job with it. Like I said, once we get it painted and buttoned up and get aerators in, we'll be good to go. So, and he has been keeping Bill Hawthorne and EPD informed with pictures and everything else. As far as anything else on the violations we had from EPD, all of that stuff's been taken care of and documented, sent to Bill Hawthorne. He's very pleased with the progress and what's been done. The building over at the Odom Street well is coming along too. We're gonna get it hopefully started in
I hope in a couple of weeks.
a couple of weeks, because we got everything set up, ready to roll, so. we're just,
Just so you know, I sent all the pictures in on all we got wrote up for with the water inspection. We should be receiving a letter in the next 5 to 7 days of saying everything was completed to their standards. On the 30th of this month, he does the inspection on the wastewater side. So he starts that at 10 a.m. on the 30th.
Okay, good. I think we're making good progress. The treatment plant, y'all, will be, it's been sitting out there for many, many years and had been not maintained and not filtered properly, and we've made a tremendous change in that system. And that plant, when we get through with all the work that Eric just told you about, that plant will be in jam-up shape for another 20 years for Hazel, Georgia. It'll be in excellent condition. Thank you. All right, the golf course is next. Let's try to move on. I'll tell you that we've hired a new man out at the golf course, and that's the workingest man in Hazel. He beats all that you have ever seen. If you don't believe it, go out there and look at what he's done. All the irrigation valves were all covered with grass. He's shoveled them all out. He's just cleaned up this and that, and he's working his butt off. And if you get a chance to ride out and look at the golf course a little bit, it's amazing what he's doing. Now, going on to number 7, every department head has got their blank budget forms in their hand, and the budget work has begun with the various department heads. And we've got this month, and then it's got to be completed by next month. The budget is in process. What is this discussed Department of Community Service letter application? What is that?
This is, oh shoot, Justin Wilkinson came by the office. You need to look at this. I forwarded a copy to you, Attorney Smith, regarding this. Basically, what this is going to do is allow people that are on probation to begin doing work at this location or any building that belongs to the city. Of course, they will not be allowed to be in the offices or anything like that. It's work that, for instance, if we can't get the inmates and they're busy at the water treatment plant, we could get someone on probation to do work up here at City Hall. And this will protect the city and everything. Just read it. You've got the actual rules, basically, and then the actual application that will have to be signed and sent to the judge for approval.
Dwayne, didn't they used to do that? I thought they did. The probationers used to work for the city, I mean, a lot of different places.
I thought that was already in.
Well, the rules got so tight that they wouldn't work. And the rules,
If you will notice now, he did state, because I actually called the mayor in when he was talking with me about this. The first time he came and talked to me, Mayor Stone was out of town. He did, and he's got on there no non-sex offending, okay? Because we do have kids that's coming in up here. So So, he's left it in my hands for you as the council and mayor to decide what to do.
Gentlemen, I did spend some time with him, and the rules are relaxed to the extent that no sex offenders will be given this opportunity, but they will approve the extent of violation that a person has in prison or serving his probation period, and will be able to work. Now, they will have to be under supervision, but not, for instance, I asked him, I said, okay, we've got an area of the cemetery that we've let underbrush get over, and we haven't had a chance to do that. If he's a strong physical person that works, can I take him out with the tools and so forth, and tell him I want you to go in and every so often check with him and see? And they said that they thought that that would work out with the right person. So at any rate, what it amounts to is they have agreed to give us probation people who can work off their community service and whatnot, if we enter into a contract with them, and we need all the free labor we can get. So I'm recommending that y'all study about it. If you got any questions, we can hash it out some now. But by Thursday night, I'm recommending that we take advantage of this free labor. And so that's. Any other comments? Ready to move?
Ready to move.
All right, let's go to
It'll
9.
be a good deterrent.
Pardon?
I said, I think that would be a good deterrent as long as we stay away from our liabilities for ourselves.
Right. Okay, we got some training. Chief, you want this done tonight? Let's see well, this is in July. We can do this Thursday night. Oh, you ready? Okay, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I'll go ahead and tell you what it is, Mayor.
Yeah.
David Moore, Randy Robertson, and Jose Zamora are requesting to go to Socorro, New Mexico, to New Mexico Tech, and take the, it's the IRTB, it's the Recognition of Terrorist Bombing.
Y'all like that out there a little bit too much.
Yeah, those guys want to go. I think the sheriff's office is going to send about 4 people in September. Let me just tell you, they pay for everything. They pay for your plane ticket, they pay your meals, they pay for your hotel, they pay for a rental car. They pay for everything except your paycheck, basically. Now, they're going to get paid by the city, but I mean, that's what they pay for. I think we had to pay, with the city credit card, we pay for baggage fees. $30 a bag out there, $30 back, but then we sent the receipts in and we waiting on a check for that too. So it's completely, they pay for everything.
All right, gentlemen, I know it's work session, but in order to try to simplify our work Thursday night, I entertain a motion that we approve this. It's not going to cost the city hardly anything.
So moved.
Mr. Ramey has made a motion that we approve this, the chief has just described. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by, who was it?
Very.
Okay, whoever. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we got that taken care of. You get rid of that.
Macy Dean's requesting to go to a drug traffic interdiction class in Alpharetta, Georgia. It's usually $175 per person, and they have a sponsor, and they are paying that $175. They're waiving that fee. It's going to cost a hotel room. That's what it's going to cost.
Okay, let's do that same
I
way.
moved, we paid Macy Dean's way.
Is there a second to the motion? Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion's carried. We've got those two off and out of the way now. Okay, Bernice, what about your training in motor?
This is actually election officials training. It's going to be June the 12th through and the 13th at ABAC on the square. This.
Oh, I thought it was motor. Is it Tifton?
It's Moultrie,
Oh, motor.
Moultrie, Georgia.
Okay, well, that's not ABAC then.
Well, that's what they have on the application. Since
They got a campus.
if Chrissy Reiner was not able to
They got a
hold the
satellite
election,
campus
Have they
there.
got a satellite?
I'm the one that would have to hold the elections. So I have to stay up to date on the training. And GMA is offering this, as I said, June the 12th and 13th.
I moved, we approved Bernice to attend this.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded that Ms. Thompson be allowed to attend the voters registrar's training in Moultrie. Any further discussion?
You stated that she don't hold it?
She does, but if she had to be out and could not hold an
Gotcha.
election, it falls on me.
Gotcha.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Gentlemen, when Mr. Johnson, Dwayne Johnson, some time ago decided he wanted a little vacation and to loaf around and goof off, y'all allowed me to take his place on the help.
move over you.
Y'all allowed me to take this. We need to move on, y'all, it's been an hour's up. Y'all allowed me to take his place on the health board. I did the best I could, but he's back now attending the meetings, but he says we got to become official so that he can vote. I entertain a motion that we'll reappoint Mr. Dwayne Johnson to the health board and get me off of it.
Make that motion.
Mr. Blow has made the motion, is there a second? Second by Mr. Ramey. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hush, Dwayne. And he needs to be in there anyway, in case some of you don't know. Mr. Johnson spent his entire life in the service of health for this county, and that's where he needs to be, and we're glad you're back in that position, Mr. Johnson, thank you. Okay, also, voting credentials, parade flags, and whatnot. Somebody tell me what all.
Okay, what this is, when we attend Savannah, we have got to have a voting delegate for the GMA convention. You will have to appoint a voting delegate, and I have got to return this by May 31st. Also, the parade of flags, that's for the opening general session of the annual convention, okay? You will have to give a name of the person that will be carrying our flag, and this has to be submitted also.
Okay, y'all think about it, and we're getting out of order with some of this training stuff we did, but I think y'all approve of it. And by the way, it is legal. Let's Thursday night decide who you want to do your voting at the convention, and also who will carry our flag for us. I think Carl did a good job last time, but we'll see. All right, information on it, comments. Oh yeah, you've got the rules. We're in operations and name the splash pad. The citizens of the city of Hazelhurst have given you about how many names, Marianne?
More than 100.
More than 100 names. Between now and Thursday, Ms. Bernice has suggested you pick out 2 or 3 that you like. Well, I'm just going to get to that too. Ms. Marianne has said just 1 each would be fine, and then we'll eliminate. But at any rate, what we'd like to do is take this list, and by the way, you can go up with your own name if you like. But between now and Thursday night, let's give it, the folks want us to give it a name. So let's name our splash pad Thursday night. Okay, we'll also handle the next 3 items. Citizens' comments, anybody? Hush, Rhonda.
I'll be brief, okay? I'm waiting like you tonight. Just a suggestion, well, I won't go there on that. I will ask a question. On the, Ryland, did they ever take the employees on their payroll, or did they stay on
No,
y'all's?
ma'am.
They don't know.
Okay, so that never happened.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, another question. Is it true that Popeyes is not gonna come? There's been some questions, I think Mary Ann's had some on the city's Facebook page. I've been asked in the public, is it true that Popeyes is not gonna start construction until the red light is installed?
That is not true.
Okay, what is the update? What is the official update?
They're
They'll
coming.
be issuing them a permit probably Friday.
Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're ready to start.
They're going full speed ahead.
Yeah, Friday.
What we have done, and I've run it for you, don't remember if you go back to the minutes, we've sort of assured them that the red light will be working by the time the restaurant opens.
Opens, okay. Gotcha.
But no, that's a restaurant is full speed ahead.
Okay.
In fact, that's going to be, well, I can share this with you. That's going to be the most expensive restaurant in Hazelhurst, Georgia.
I agree with you on that.
That's going to be the most expensive restaurant in Hazelhurst, Georgia. All
Have
right.
y'all heard of opening date on Captain D's? Anybody heard? I'm just,
Now, another thing, or information too, I didn't know that now the red light poles in each, wherever a red light's put up, They come there, the engineer measures the radius of the turn and everything, and those poles are made per red light. When we got the blue thing, then we had Bass Signal got the contract, and then he had to get with the company, and do you know there's only one company in the United States that makes those blue poles? And we had a, what was it, 4 month lead time?
3 to 4 month lead
3
time.
to 4 month lead time. But at any rate, it's been about 2 or 3 now, so we got to get the posts, and I check on it every now and then. I thought, have y'all got us in the works? And they say, yeah. So we gotta get the posts in, and Bass will get the red light up, but we promised to have the red light by the time the rest of us bid, and both are full speed ahead. What else you got?
That's it, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Okay, anybody else?
You have in front of you an email from Ms. Allen Harris. This will be something that you all will go over Thursday night. The Heart and Soul Downtown Workshop on May 23rd in the city of Monroe. I just kind of made a comment to Mayor Stone, and I'm getting the necessary information. With Rory Cheney doing the things that she is doing for the city of Hazelhurst, and the ideas that she has come up with for the city of Hazelhurst, if it could be possible for her to attend this, because they will be visiting places in Monroe, Georgia. Monroe has done an awful lot of work down there. I'll get everything that needs to be done, because I will not be here Thursday night. I will be attending the convention in Birmingham. But I want y'all to look at that and think about this hard. The way this lady has done things for this city and is trying to revitalize it, I think that it would be a benefit if she would be able to attend this workshop.
It's not very,
I think it'd be beneficial for her.
it's not very expensive, and we certainly, to spark and continue to feed her enthusiasm, I think I agree with Bernice. I think that would be good. I'll talk to you some about it this week.
She's on the downtown development.
Yeah, well,
No, sir.
I don't think we've officially put her on there
I
yet.
don't think she's official, but she's
Needs to be.
worked with them.
Yeah,
She needs to be, I guarantee
yeah,
that.
we need to handle that too. All right, anything else? Okay, commissioners, it's y'all's turn.
To the board, we doing this, and to the citizens. I think last year, Carl, you and Eric, y'all got together with the flag. But I'm not sure if we voted to get it done, but it's been presented for the citizens. And we need to put it out there and let them come and see their flag. And hopefully, let's make it official Thursday night that this is our flag. I don't remember us voting, but it's beautiful. And the colors of the school and the city and all. I remember one time they turned in some diagrams years back, and I forget which mayor, but we was at the old city hall, wasn't nothing ever done. But we finally got one, and I find no fault, but I wish that the citizens would come and see it, and we make it official, so that when we do present it again to the parade of citizens in Savannah, that they all would know what we're doing.
Okay, and if you remember,
And I guess I should have put that on.
that's all right. Well, we got it.
But it's nice.
Okay, all right, we'll handle that. Y'all, keep that in mind. We'll handle that Thursday night. All right, anybody else?
We can leave it out for them to come in and see it.
Yeah, all right.
And that's what I want them to do, is be able to come in and look.
And I
put
think-
their hands on it.
Right, and I think,
Yeah, roll it up the pole.
Rhonda, are you not putting it, we unrolled it and spread it out, and you got a
I'm
picture?
getting on
And
it.
she's
Okay.
she's just gonna go worldwide. They'll be.
Mariana share it, or she'll copy it
And
and
it'll be
use
on,
it too.
everywhere. All right, so we're gonna do that and get ready for Thursday night. Anybody else, commissioners? All right, I got one more thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about the resurfacing. We fixed to get that going with, getting some asphalt, smelling asphalt. There's holes in the streets all over this town. And I've been worried about it, and a fella came in this office that, a few days ago, pleading for work. He's got some infirmities, but he's strong and he wants to work. And it come to my mind that Carl's got in. We've got a big load of asphalt shavings and all now. And this man, between he and Mr. Rowland, this works out at the dog pound, we've got a team of 2 men now that are going to spend, Roland is full-time, but he's got part-time that's gonna work on this project of handling manholes, weed eating, street signs, roundupping, just going up now street by street by street. We're gonna work those 2 men 25 hours a week, patching and fixing, and Carl is gonna direct them how to properly patch a hole in the street. But this is going to be a full-time, part-time situation, that if you've got a street that you've got some holes on, you can call them and say, look, go to so-and-so street, or the police, chief, if you've got somebody, tell them to go down this street. And when we've got somebody every day now, as much problem, I know where the Beasley's trucks comes in and out of a lot of places. They flake the side of the street off, and it's gonna take a lot of work fixing that. There's just a lot of work, and we're gonna have a little crew, and this little man, he says and he's not little, he's strong as an ox. This little man says he'll patch every hole in town, and I thought you need to know about it. And then when you see them working and see what they're doing, and then you help see that potholes are probably compacted and fixed properly, and Carl's gonna train them how to do that. But anyway, that's something to do that I'm right proud of. Anything else?
Mayor, I'm cognizant of the individual you're talking about that's there, and I am very much supportive of the idea, particular, but have we explored our liabilities on that?
Well, yeah,
What got my attention was that you mentioned chemicals, and I have a question.
well, Roundup as well, to say that. If you think, I don't know, he's strong, he knows how to work, he can, an axe to cut.
Carl, can you oversee that and make sure?
Yeah, John, as far as Roundup spraying, we can let John do the spraying on the Roundup and let him just handle the potholes and the weed. Yeah.
But I think, we're, here again, we're trying to help a young man that we think deserves help, and like Mr. Raymond said. But let me tell you something, if this man, and he's strong, and all, if he does what he wants to do and what we put him out there to do, we're gonna be the benefactors. We're gonna be the ones that's gonna benefit for what will be done. That we'll have someone working on that every day. So that's, they're starting tomorrow, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be on the street working tomorrow.
Absolutely. One thing that you can say positive is you don't get too many young fellas coming in and saying, I want to work.
Please let me.
Please let me work.
Yeah, well, thank you for that.
He definitely wants to work.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
So move.
Mr. Johnson moves that we go home. Is there a second? Mr. Mr. Bloodworth is taking the move. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
How you been, buddy?
John, I told you to get that extra